My 35 sister, 27, started dating one of those brutally honest guys a few months ago. He can be quite rude and make backhanded comments about me and the family sometimes, which is bothersome, but my sister says he's not malicious but is just the brutally honest time, and we should get used to it. I visited my parents' house to celebrate my sister's birthday, and my husband couldn't come with me because he was busy. After the party we all sat down for dinner, and my sister's boyfriend said it was weird that my husband and I don't have kids, despite being married for 6 years now. I was shocked that he brought this up, but I gave a short answer stating that it's because of infertility issues. He asked on which side, and I didn't want to answer, but my sister said it's on my side. I got uncomfortable as he looked at me for a second and said that maybe not having kids now is a good thing because he thought women over 30 might produce defective babies due to age. I told him it was none of his business, but he said that he was just giving his honest opinion and that's all. I, in return, told him while maintaining eye contact. Trust me, if I wanted a jerk's opinion, I would afford it. Literally everyone at the table bursted into laughter, and my sister and her boyfriend were stunned. Few seconds later her boyfriend excused himself out, and my sister followed, then sent me a text after they left saying I was mean and disrespectful towards her boyfriend and insulted him maliciously just because he stated his honest opinion. She also said I ruined her birthday by being petty and making her boyfriend the joke of the night in front of the family. I didn't respond, but she demanded an apology via mail as soon as possible. Mom agreed that I shouldn't have said what I said and should have just ignored him knowing how he is. I think am I the idiot, but I'm not sure. What do you think? Not the idiot. He barely knows you all and is already making inappropriate comments and sticking his nose into business that isn't his. How dare he comment on your fertility issues? I'm willing to bet his genetic pool is not perfect, which is pretty clear based on his personality. I am a little concerned, though, that he was hinting he may try to convince your sister to have a child with him. Try and get your sister on her own. Ask her, is she okay with a boyfriend that insults her sister who he barely knows? I hope she comes to her senses and sends him on his way, because there's a fine line between being opinionated and unnecessarily cruel. Not the idiot. Your response was perfect. He deserved it and brought it upon himself. I'm brutally honest is usually code for I don't care about anyone else's feelings, and I don't care if I hurt other people. Less frequently, it means I never learned how to be tactful, and I'm not interested in changing that. Either way, it's not good. He is a massive idiot for all the obvious reasons. He needs to learn that behavior has consequences, that there are repercussions for speaking rudely. Sister is an idiot here as well for demanding an apology from you. She should be telling her boyfriend that he needs to apologize to you for his egregiously rude words. He asked you personally invasive questions at the dinner table, in front of your family, and your sister goes ahead to share info without your permission. Then when you clap back at him for an unwanted opinion, you're the idiot? When did your reproductive choices or challenges become his business? Why does he think he can just ask anyone, why don't you have kids? Oh no, you're not the idiot. Your sister and her boyfriend are much the idiots here. Your mom should be supporting you instead of guilting you into an apology. Ridiculous. Brutally honest people are just people that use that excuse for being jerks. I, male 37, was in the military. I served 3 years in Iraq. I had issues when I got home after I lost a close friend of mine who was older than me. I was discharged after I was diagnosed with post-traumatic stress disorder. I spent a lot of time with my friend's family because somehow that gave me comfort and brought me closer to my friend. He was more than a friend. He was like a brother. The next 2 years were difficult. My ex and I had a divorce. I wasn't focusing on things. Just wanted to get everything done fast. I'm always in a hurry. I didn't know why. I just kept myself busy every day, and I made sure to always have people around, although I was miserable, and no one wanted to spend time with me telling me I needed therapy. And I received therapy before I currently attend online group sessions every week. But there are things that can cause me to react, and I'd find myself lashing out, or starting an argument or even crying. My mom called me to say my cousin was coming to stay with me until his next semester starts. I hesitated because my cousin tends to be loud and noisy. I prepared a room for him, and he moved in 2 days later. He wasn't as annoying as before, but he certainly did things that made me mad. Last week I was in my room, and I suddenly heard gun sounds coming from upstairs. I started panicking, shaking, and I couldn't even get up. I kept yelling my cousin's name, and he came into my room telling me he was playing Battlefield. I told him to turn it off immediately. He kept refusing. I yelled at him, and that's when he turned it off. I told him that I don't want to hear that again in my house because gun sounds are a trigger for me, and I've become too weak to handle another panic episode. He said I overreacted, but I made it clear that I won't let it happen again. Yesterday after I got home, and once I walked in I heard loud noise and gun sounds. I couldn't go inside. I immediately sat on the porch because my whole body was shaking and my breathing was heavy. My cousin saw me and came asking if I was okay. Turned out he was playing with his box in my living room. He said he thought I wouldn't be home before 5. I was livid. I yelled at him and called him an insensitive idiot and told him to pack his things and get ready to leave. After he said I overreacted again and made light of the situation, I dropped him off at the bus station hours later. And my aunt didn't stop calling. I had to respond, but I ended up arguing with her after she said that her son was being treated unfairly by me and told me to stop being overdramatic, and I shouldn't have yelled at my cousin like that. I stopped responding because of what she said, basically calling me soft and too sensitive. Not the idiot. You're not soft or insensitive. You're having a hard time coping with post-traumatic stress disorder and you need help. What you also need is your family to be respectful of that and not intentionally do crap that triggers you, like playing loud video games filled with gunfire. Your cousin is an idiot for not taking what he was doing seriously. Also, you were doing him and your aunt a favor by letting him stay there at all. Not the idiot. Your cousin and his mother are terrible, ungrateful, insensitive people. People who stay in others' homes should not cause them harm. The fact that your aunt supported her self-absorbed son's behavior instead of apologizing profusely is disgraceful, and I hope your parents are backing you up and demanding they both apologize to you. I don't understand how your mom just announced someone was staying with you without asking you first, but I'd ask her to never do that again. Not the idiot. I cannot imagine what you've been through, and the absolute disrespect your family is showing you is disgusting. I have a panic disorder and loud noises are a trigger for me. My dad used to sound a siren to try to wake me up for school, even after I was diagnosed, and acted all surprised and innocent when I had panic attacks and started puking and refusing to go to school. Multiple doctors told him what he was doing was making me worse. I recently learned how to spin yarn using a spinning wheel. Because I always go the extra mile with new hobbies, I decided that I wanted to start processing my own wool before I spin it. This involves washing it and combing the wool into a long strand that can be used for spinning, and so far I'm loving it. I have also only purchased wool from small farms, like small enough I buy it from Facebook groups, and they send me regular updates and pictures of the sheep whose wool I am purchasing. I know all the names of the sheep, and know for a fact that none of them have been harmed in the shearing process beyond a potential nick or two with the clippers. I recently posted a picture on Facebook of the wool and how I comb it, and this person, who I am at most acquaintances with, decided to comment that using wool was an abomination because sheep are hurt and killed during the shearing process. As I said above, I know how much these farmers care about their sheep, and that's why I buy from them. And even if I did purchase wool from a bigger farm, most sheep breeds actually need to be sheared on a regular basis because they cannot support the weight of the extra wool. I responded to their comment with this, and after some back and forth involving more links to PETA than I cared to read, they just would not give up and I was done arguing. Here's where I might be the idiot. I decided to reply, "You're right. I drove to the farm myself and personally killed these sheep, just so I could use literally a pound of their wool, because as a non-vegan I couldn't possibly care about animals the same way you do." This was obviously a joke, and I do agree that it was in poor taste, and I could have just stopped responding, but I was so tired of arguing about something that is just factually incorrect. They flipped out and called me an idiot among other things, and after that I just stopped responding and ignored it. I don't necessarily regret what I said, but I understand that it went a bit too far in the situation. Am I the idiot? I hate it when vegan militants extend their ire to necessary practices such as sheep shearing. For goodness sake, shearing is healthy for sheep, nothing inhumane about it, especially done on small-scale farms, where the farmer knows their sheep individually and can see to their particular needs. Not the idiot. I needle felt and currently have a batch of wool from my next-door neighbor's farm that I'm super excited to use. Those sheep are her babies and are not mistreated in any way, shape or form. We have bred sheep that have an excess of wool. It really needs to be removed for their comfort. We've done the same with dogs. I brush my dog all the time and usually end up with a gallon-sized Ziploc after each brushing their fur. She feels so much better afterwards. I can throw it out or leave it in the yard. I have a few pounds worth now and can't wait to see how pretty the yarn is. Yes, I know it's weird. No, I don't care. Not the idiot, and as someone who comes from a family and community of shearers, it genuinely pees me off. Any shearer worth an iota of respect would not deliberately hurt the sheep. Most modern shearers use electric clippers with guards, like the ones a hairdresser and barber would use. Are there shearers and farmers who deliberately hurt animals? Yes, but they are in the extreme minority, and most actual animal welfare groups come down like a sledgehammer on any animal cruelty accusations, because that kind of thing is taken seriously in most places. I, 22, have a small group of friends who decided to have a COVID-safe game night at my place. My friend Nick, 23, asked to bring his new girlfriend Pam, 20. I said sure, since none of us had met her yet, only been dating for 3 months, so it seemed a perfect way to introduce her to the group. The night comes, Nick and Pam are the last to arrive. She greets everyone, and Nick introduces her to us all. I welcome her to my home and introduce myself with my full name. She went quiet and asked me to say that again. I was a little weirded out, but I told her my name again, fake name, but let's say Andrew James Manson. She screamed and fell to her knees. Nick immediately consoles her and tries to calm her down. It turns out that she has a fear of serial killers. I share a last name with one from the state I live in because I am also, unfortunately, distantly related to him. It wasn't a big profile case that everyone around the country knows, but it's enough for some locals to wonder if I had a connection to him. This is considered pretty heavy information to most people, so I don't tend to tell it to everyone. My friends all knew at this point, but Pam didn't. Nick said she'd be okay in a while, but then she screamed, "How could you bring me here, you monster?" That seemed really atypical, so I asked her what was wrong. She said that her great aunt was one of the victims, and her body was never found. I told her that I'm sorry, but I can't control my genetics. I'm related to Charles Manson, again not the real name, but that doesn't mean I'm gonna kill anyone like he did. Then she screamed for me to get out, and Nick told me to leave until she calms down. I snapped in that this is my house, so you should leave. He said to be reasonable and understanding, because this is a hard thing for Pam to come down from. But here's where I may be the idiot. I grabbed my keys from the kitchen, and when I went by the living room I heard Pam say, "I can't believe you brought me to a murderer's house." So I snapped. I shouted at her that she has a lot of nerve acting this way the first time we meet her, and how dare she demand that I leave my home and call me a murderer. I grabbed her and Nick's things, threw them at them, and demanded they leave right now. Pam wouldn't stop screaming and crying, and Nick asked me to be reasonable. I told him to back off if he's okay with his girlfriend insulting me like this. After I kicked them out, Our other friends began arguing about how I could be such an idiot to someone having a panic attack. The others defended me and think that Pam was out of line and Nick didn't do a damn thing to defend his friend against his girlfriend of 3 months. That it's her own fault for being overly dramatic and demanding just because of a panic attack, and Nick is only enabling her. Nick has demanded an apology for Pam and him, and I told them both that ain't gonna happen after the way she disrespected me. Everyone is split, but I feel like I'm in the right. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. It is not my job or anyone else's to gatekeep mental illness, but I'm autistic with an absolutely debilitating anxiety disorder, and I would bet my left hit that she did not have an anxiety attack at all. She threw a fit. A tantrum. That said, even if she was having a legitimate meltdown, as others have mentioned, if your mental illness is so severe that you cannot go out in public without yelling and screaming at people, you need professional mental help, not a game night. Honestly, it's a tough situation, but not the idiot. It's mainly their audacity at telling you to leave your own house instead of going outside to calm down. Besides that, she threw out a very serious accusation for no reason. It's not her fault that she went into a panic attack, but both those things do not sound like a result of a panic attack to me. At least I've never experienced it like that myself. I don't like that your friends are telling you to be reasonable while her entire panic attack was far more unreasonable. Not the idiot. She simply needed to remove herself from that situation until she calmed down. Having a panic attack does not excuse anyone from being extremely rude and then continuing to defend their rudeness after the fact. If you are rude during a panic attack, you can later apologize for what you said during your panic attack, and both parties can move on. You do not continue to defend it and act like the other person was in the wrong for not being more accommodating when you call them a murderer.